Dolly Parton, School and Cadre. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you to those of you who have watched my series about Dolly Parton, and you'll be aware that the conclusion was, based on the evidence that was considered, that she is an empath. This means that she has wide-ranging emotional empathy for varying groups of individuals, not those that are necessarily directly associated with her. She has a range of empathic and narcissistic traits, both of which could be pretty strong, but her empathic traits will always outrank her narcissistic traits. She has the inherent addiction to narcissists that arises as a consequence of being an empath. Now remember, empaths exist. Empaths are not saints. Empaths are often, invariably, flawed individuals themselves, and they can engage in poor behaviours. They are not completely immune from behaving badly. After all, they are human beings. They can, as a consequence of their erosion of emotional empathy, cheat, fight, steal, and so forth. But they don't have the pathological need for control, fuel, character traits, residual benefits that a narcissist has. Empaths are often damaged individuals. They're often individuals that have significant flaws, hence the symbiotic relationship that they have with the narcissist, and it's important to understand that. But when it comes to Dolly Parton, what is the breakdown with regard to her school and Cadre? I determined that as a consequence of her long-lasting relationship with her husband, that showed a degree of codependency, not substantial by any means, but the reliance upon remaining in a relationship for such a long period of time would exhibit some form of codependency. Didn't mean that she's a codependent, it just shows a shade of it, a brushstroke of it. And I should imagine also that issues appertaining to finances and poverty could pose to be a codependency trigger for her. Therefore, on that basis, I would determine that she would have 10% codependency. It's an insignificant amount and doesn't really have much impact upon her, but it's there. It's evident that with Dolly Parton, there is a no-nonsense aspect about her, whereby she doesn't get drawn in to controversy about herself particularly often. She's not known for being an individual that goes on the warpath. She's not an individual that's known, for instance, for expressing certain views across social media platforms, engaging in spats with people as she sets them straight, but rather her stance is, I'm not going to get involved in that. I'm not going to get dragged into that shitstorm. I'm not going to be pulled down to wrestle into the mud. And part of that is an ability to place boundaries herself, and also that she marks in the sand that line that ought not to be crossed. And rather than respond to it by attack, she invariably adopts the defense of, I'm just going to stay out of it. I'm not going to involve myself in it. She resists the urge to do so, which often befalls certain empaths who, as a consequence of the corruption of, say, their desire to fix and heal, their truth-seeker traits, their compassion, they get drawn into disputes because they want to seek justice or they want to get to the truth of the matter. The ability to refrain from doing so is indicative of a proportion of super empathy on the part of Dolly Parton, which I've categorised as strong, just about, at 30%. This leaves us with Standard and Contagion. And what's evident in relation to Dolly Parton is that there is a spiritual aspect to her, that the nature of her songwriting demonstrates an ability to understand the feelings and feel the feelings of other individuals, and also the commune that she feels with nature all point to the presence of contagion empathy on her part. Indeed, given the length of her career, the nature of the things that she has sung about, the nature of the relationships that she has spoken about, the circumstances, and her keen involvement in the place that she came from and the suffering of other people that she wishes to help. This is all demonstrative of majority contagion behaviour, and I would place that for her at 60%. Accordingly, in relation to her school, it is 60% contagion, 30% super, and 10% codependent. What now of her cadra? Well, as you know, there are 5: saviour, magnet, geezer, carrier, martyr. Most people exhibit 3, sometimes 4, occasionally 5. What about Dolly Parton? Well, she's clearly somebody that will carry the load. She's an individual that rolls up her sleeves and she gets stuck in. She's an individual that supports many philanthropic endeavours, and she has done so for a considerable period of time. Accordingly, this demonstrates the presence of carrier. Naturally, her wealth assists in that regard, and that she has a team of people to help her, but she's not somebody that just writes out checks and then issues diktats and orders. She does, to an extent, get involved, and therefore, to my mind, that produces a significant carrier aspect at 20%. It's evident with Dolly Parton that she is an individual with charisma, that she attracts people to her, that they feel comfortable with her, that they want to share what has happened to them with her, that they feel content to talk about themselves, and that she deals with matters with an excellent sense of humour and a real down-to-earth persona. She has a magnetism which draws people towards her, and therefore that is represented by virtue of the magnet cadra, which I see as significant, and I ascribe a value to it of 25%. I don't see that she exhibits martyr behaviours, because I don't see that she goes to such an extent as to do something which actually causes harm to herself. Whilst undoubtedly she has emotions and will be emotional, and that exhibits through some of her performances and songwriting, I don't see a prevalence of the geezer cadra. Instead, what we do see is an individual who rides into battle on behalf of other people regularly and has done so all through her life, whether it has come from assisting her parents in relation to raising her siblings, helping other people from an early age, getting involved in charitable and philanthropic efforts across Sevier County, where she came from, across the United States and into other countries. It's quite clear that Dolly Parton feels a compelling urge to help others, that this is at the beating heart of her cadra, that she is someone that rides into battle on behalf of other people, often using her financial firepower to assist, that she wants to save people from poor education and poverty and harm and injury, and therefore in the circumstances, I see that she has a majority saviour element allocated 55%. Accordingly, she has 3 cadras: carrier at 20%, significant; magnet, 25%, significant; and also, in relation to saviour, majority, 55%. Dolly Parton is an empath. She is a majority contagion and a majority saviour. If you would be interested in learning whether you're an empath or not, whether you're a narcissist, narcissistic, or normal, or an empath, and if you are an empath, what type, why not undertake the empath detector? The link is in the video description below and can be found at narcsite, narcsite.com, in the detector section of the menu bar. Not only will you learn a lot about yourself, but it also will provide you with information which will help you understand why you behave as you do and will help you protect yourself. Give it a whirl. Find out what you are. Don't forget to like this video to ensure that it reaches more people, and if you haven't already subscribed, please do so. I'm HG Tudor. Thank you for listening.